All right, good afternoon, everyone. Start of a new week. Hope you're doing well on this Monday afternoon. We're going to do a couple of Rashis from Parshas Kisisa. Very much action-filled Parsha. Unfortunate incident of the Chet HaEgel, which takes up much of the second Aliyah, which is our Aliyah for today. In the midst of the whole episode of the Chet HaEgel, sort of in the middle of our Aliyah. Just to go through the order, first we have the idea that Moshe Rabbeinu was delayed, at least in the eyes of the people, coming down with the Luchos. The people build the Egel. Hashem tells Moshe that something down there is going on. He goes down, he breaks the Luchos. There's the war of the Levium. Many people are killed. Moshe Rabbeinu tries to intercede and ask for forgiveness on behalf of the Jewish people. And he does so with great success, but at various stages of getting Hashem to agree to different things and forgive the Jewish people at different levels. So if you take a look over here, this is sort of in the middle of the Aliyah, the end of Perek Lamed Beis. He reminds the people, even after the immediate punishment is done, in terms of the Levium and the 3,000 people that fall, he still says, reminding them that they had a grave sin. He says, I'm going to go up and I'm going to intercede on your behalf. And this is where a whole process unfolds of Moshe interceding with Hashem. And this is the Aliyah that we read every fast day, the whole famous Aliyah, which leads eventually to the Yud Gimel Midos Harachamim and the forgiveness of the Jewish people and all of what ensues. Vayashav Moshe al Hashem vayomar. So Moshe really does what he tells the nation he's going to do, which is go back up and plead with God. And he says to Hashem, Ana chata ha'am hazeh chata agdola v'yasu lahem egel Elohei zahav. I know, he says to Hashem, the people messed up big time. They built this golden calf. But now I'm going to ask something of you. Ve'ata, now, im tisa chatasam v'im ayin mechenina misifrecha asher kasafta. He says, now you have to forgive them. They messed up, guaranteed. I'm not going to gloss over that. That's 100% true. And no one's going to cover that over. But now it's time for you to forgive them. And here comes the famous line, Im ayin, and if not, if not, erase me from your book. Now, if I would ask most people what that means, they would probably say that this was an act of leveraging, so to speak. It's a bit of a threat, maybe a veiled threat, maybe a subtle threat, but Moshe is saying, God, you got to forgive them. And if not, cut me out of this book. I want to have nothing to do with it. That's the simple understanding of the pasuk, and I think that's what most people would say intuitively about it. But look at Rashi. Rashi takes a little bit of a different approach, which I think is fascinating. Mechenina misifrecha, that was the request Moshe made. If you're not going to forgive the Jewish people, and this is the end, then take me out of your book. Why take me out of your book? Not as a threat, not as a way to leverage Hashem to forgive the people, but misifrecha mikol haTorah shelo yomru alai shelo hayisi kadai levakesh aleihem rachamim. It's a very interesting take. According to Rashi, Moshe's philosophy of saying erase me from your book is that so people for future generations won't look back and say, well, Moshe really wasn't good enough to intercede on their behalf and to gain rachamim, to gain compassion and forgiveness for them. Moshe is asking almost, I hate to say this word, but in a selfish way. It's not God, you better forgive them or else erase me. I want to have nothing to do with this. But rather it's God, if you can't forgive them, I sort of understand. That's fine. Do what you need to do. But I don't want to be embarrassed by this. I don't want to be implicated in the fault of the people. People messed up badly, but what people are going to read in this story is that their leader wasn't on a high enough level to gain compassion for them and forgiveness. And I don't want to be embarrassed in that way. I can't really comment on Rashi here. Is it right? Is it wrong? What do other Mefarshim say? I don't know, but I wanted to present it to you because it's so surprising. It's sort of a different take on the pasuk than we're used to, and almost not putting Moshe in the best of light. The simple way to read the pasuk is Moshe, the warrior on behalf of the people, even to go up against God. And the Rashi version of Moshe is sort of a self-serving Moshe, saying, I don't want to be embarrassed in the future by the story that they tell. I'm going to look bad. And there really is nothing wrong with me. The people sinned so gravely that there's no one who could have gained forgiveness for them. But the way people are going to read the story is, oh, okay, so they messed up. If the leader had been better, God would have forgiven them. But that's not what they're going to see if they read the story as is. So cut me out of the story. Take me out of the whole episode of Yetzias Mitzrayim and Matan Torah. I don't want to be appearing there for fear that I'll be embarrassed in that way. I think it's just a very, very different approach and a very different take. But I don't know. I'll leave it to you to think about a little bit more. One other piece here, which I think is very interesting, is the last pasuk. He says, Hashem says back to Moshe, that no way. If people messed up, they'll be erased from the book, but I'm not erasing you from the book. The next pasuk, though, is more of the interchange. Now Hashem says, now that I'm not agreeing to erase you from my book, go lead the people to the place they're supposed to go. And I'll send my angel to lead the way. And on the day that I remember this, I will, remember their iniquities, their sins. So the first part of the pasuk is there's a lot to discuss there. My angel, my messenger will go before you. And Moshe Rabbeinu argues back on that. He says, no way. If you're not going with us, we're not going. And there's a whole interchange about that piece of the pasuk. But what interests me is the second half. Biyom pakti pakadati aleim chatasam. As if to say, okay, for now they're forgiven, but at some point in the future, I'm going to mete out punishment for the sin of the golden calf. Look what Rashi says over here. Biyom pakti, ata shamadti alecha l'chalotam yachad. I'll listen to you, Moshe. I'm going to forgive them, but not really forgive them. What I'm going to do for you, Moshe, because of your request, is not punish them right now in the most severe way. But I'm really not forgiving them. I'm going to hold over this sin of the golden calf. I'm going to sort of keep it at bay for a moment without bringing down the punishment that's deserving upon them and wiping them out, starting over. I'm going to hold it off for a little bit. And what I'm going to do is every time in the future they're going to be punished for other sins, I'm going to sort of throw in a little bit of the punishment from the sin of the golden calf, deplete, right? It's like, kid doesn't like their vegetables. Instead of having the whole plate of broccoli, you put a little bit of broccoli in the pasta salad. You put a little bit of broccoli in the lasagna. You throw it in when you can get it in, so it'll almost be covered and disguised by whatever else you're giving them. So the sin of the golden calf was immense. God saying, I'm not going to destroy them now. I'm going to take the entirety of this punishment and throw it at them, but they're still deserving of punishment. And I'm going to take little pieces of it and put it amongst other punishments that they're going to get over the course of history, and get it in that way. There's no punishment that happens to the Jewish people forevermore that doesn't include a smidge, a little bit of the payback for the Chet HaEgel. It's very severe. Two very surprising Rashis. I don't even know how to unpack these. Certainly not in the 8 or 9 minutes that we've been together and that we're ending right now. I have no way to unpack these or to really make sense of them, but to put these two very, very dramatic Rashis out there for you to think about in the span of these couple of sukkim. Thanks so much and have a great day.
Thanks, Rabbi. You too, and everybody.
You too, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
One.
Thank you.